Well, good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for being with us during this busy time. In just the past 2 weeks, we've had a budget impasse, and then we had a reasonable agreement to that impasse. I was able to work with City Council to bring that impasse to a reasonable solution to help keep the city moving forward. And so President Samuels is with us today. I want to thank City Council for working with us to get that job done. We saw the students marching, but then we also saw a 700% increase in capital funding to the schools. We welcomed the collegiate cyclists who took over the downtown area of the city, and they prepared us to welcome the entire world to come and be with us in 2015. We all know that we've had a couple of diversions with our Chaco development plan, and this week we learned that the New England Patriots are going to be here in Richmond, and for the first time that I can remember or even imagine, two National Football League teams are going to be playing on Lee Street. And so it's happening in Richmond because I believe that Richmond is pointed in the right direction. We're moving in the right direction, and all of us can feel that momentum. And so I'm delighted today to be adding two key professionals to my leadership team. And so let me start with finance and administration. We've had a lot of successes in that area, especially 6 bond rating upgrades in the last 5 years, but we also know that there's also a lot of room for improvement. And so today I'm naming a career professional who can help us improve operations in this area. Norman Butts, who stands to my right, is a lawyer, an accountant, an educator, a public administrator, and a former elected official, all in one man. He's been Inspector General and Auditor, a Chief Financial Officer and a debt manager, and even a city manager. Most recently, he was the Director of Finance for the town of Leesburg, Virginia, in one of the fastest growing counties in America. And in his decade of service as leading the city of Leesburg, he led them from a A1 bond rating to just one shot away from AAA bond rating in his tenure there. Norm was a Inspector General from Montgomery County, Maryland, one of the most diverse and complex jurisdictions in America. He was an auditor in Concord, New Hampshire, where he also served 3 terms on the city council. In that elected office, he served as a member of the Fiscal Policy Committee and as chairman of the Ethics Committee. Here at home, he has Richmond ties that run deep. He served as debt manager in the state treasurer's office when Jerry Bliles was governor of Virginia. He'll join us on June 23rd as DCAO for Finance and Administration. He'll be responsible for the Department of Finance, procurement, human resources, budget, strategic planning, and IT. And I know that each of these departments join me in looking forward to Norm's service and leadership, and many of the members of that department and the leaders of that department are here. Now, let's be honest, we have had some challenges in human services. And I believe that Deborah Gardner, who is standing to my left, is the change agent we need to move these agencies forward. Deborah has a long career as a successful public administrator, a corrections professional, a justice service administrator, an intervention specialist, and a prevention specialist. She started as a social worker, and she has a background in drug treatment, substance abuse, domestic violence prevention, and foster care. Most recently, Deborah served as Chief Deputy Director of the Virginia Department of Corrections, which has more than 12,000 employees in 94 operational units with an annual budget of $1.3 billion with a B dollars. She also served as the Chief Deputy Director of the Virginia Department of Criminal Justice Services, and she helped establish the Commission on Virginia Alcohol Safety Action Program, VASAP, which she ultimately served as Executive Director. Like Norm, she worked under Governor Bliles when he was governor of the state of Virginia. She understands case management. She understands programs to help crime victims, special investigations programs to help people who once broke the law enter into society, and she's guided by an overall commitment to addressing social challenges. And so Deborah starts today as our DCAO for Human Services, and she's responsible for the Department of Social Services, Justice Services, and Parks and Recreation and Community Facilities. And she'll lead the libraries, the Mayor's Youth Academy, the Neighbor to Neighbor Volunteer Initiative, and the new Mayor's Office of Community Wealth Building that we've created to combat our 26% poverty rate in the city of Richmond. She's also going to be our liaison between our city and the Behavioral Health Authority and the Richmond City's Health District. So we welcome Deborah to our team, and we look forward to her service. And so I'm very happy to have both Norm and Deborah here, and I'm going to ask them now if they would just make some brief remarks. Ladies before gentlemen, Norm. So Deborah.
Thank you. Good afternoon. I want to take this opportunity to thank the mayor and his executive team for welcoming me to their staff. I look forward to working with the City of Richmond. I have over 30 years of experience in public service. 26 of those years I've served in Virginia state government, so I look forward to the challenge of working in city government. I look forward to working with the citizens of Richmond, ensuring that there's a continued growth and progress in the city. So thank you, Mr. Mayor, for this opportunity, and I look forward to working with each of you.
No?
Thank you, Your Honor. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to serve the residents and taxpayers of Richmond. I'm just terribly excited about the opportunity and challenges that the position entails, and I look forward to working with you and your administration and your executive team, and I can't wait to get here to get started. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And so you can see that we're encouraged by these two leaders who we've recruited to come to the city of Richmond. And I believe that they represent opportunities for success and an opportunity to turn around a couple of our troubled agencies. I want to be very clear about why we're making these changes. The people of Richmond elected me to serve for a specific amount of time, and I need to say today that I intend to use every minute of the time that I have. My style is to hire professionals and then to let those professionals do their job. And I do intend to leave the city of Richmond better than when I found it. And I think today is an indication of that. I'm looking forward and I'm not looking backward, and that's why we're here today. And so I want to take this moment to answer any questions that you might have. And let me just mention that I can't address any matters that the Commonwealth's attorney is reviewing, but any other questions that you have, we'll be more than happy to answer them.
Mr. Mayor, you said you can't address the questions pertaining to that, but can you talk about what you feel like might be the biggest challenge as it relates to the finance department, and people are aware of the news recently? Can you speak to that?
I think that we have a seasoned professional that's coming on board, and I believe that whatever challenges we have, his directive, his marching orders are to change that. What we're trying to do is to change the executive level of leadership, because we have good directors. We have people who are working well in management, but we just need to strengthen the executive leadership, and I believe that Norm will be able to do that. Who's next? Yes, Jody.
Mr. Mayor, the job ad for the DCAO for finance was posted on Sunday. Given that it's just 3 or 4 days later, was this a fair hiring process that you're announcing this new person?
Yes, it's a fair hiring process, and it's often the way things happen. I've been talking to Norm for some time, and I've been looking for someone for this position for a long time. For, well, at least a couple months.
And how is the final decision made? Is that with you, does the CAO make the decision? Who ultimately makes the final decision?
Well, it's collaborative, but I have a lot to do with it.
Can you say more about what caused you to start looking for someone like Mr. Butzer?
Well, we want the best possible person to get the job done. I mentioned earlier that the city in the last 5 years has had 5 upgrades from Wall Street. Our goal is to be a AAA bond rated city. And we want to be efficient, and we want to make sure that we're handling taxpayer dollars efficiently. And so in Mr. Butts, I see a person who can lead us to accomplish those goals.
So there wasn't an event that led you to start a job search,
I think that there were many things, not one thing in particular,
for example?
just many things.
Okay.
Yes.
Mr. Mayor, Dr. Graham left over a year ago.
Right.
Can you talk about what took so long to find somebody to take over Human Services?
Well, we had Steve Harms, who is a very well-respected leader in social services and human services from the state, who worked with us for a year. We really appreciate his service, and he kind of held the job down. And we had some extreme challenges while Norm was here, and it was probably important for him to spend that amount of time with us. And then we began to look seriously to find somebody to permanently replace him, because Norm, he was retired. He wanted to move on.
Well, Steve was brought in.
Steve, I'm sorry.
Steve was brought in on an interim basis. We
Right.
knew that from the very beginning.
Right.
Why did it take so long to find a permanent replacement?
Well, I don't think that that's the issue. I think that he was here, and while he was here, things began to happen that kind of kept him here. It was important not to change in the midst of some of the problems we were experiencing. And so as those things began to settle down, and as we recognized that Steve was going to move on to his second retirement, then we began to move full force to look for somebody to be the permanent director of that agency, the permanent DCO of that agency. All right.
Are we able to ask your choices any questions?
You can, yes, you can. They're
Ms.
quite
Lerner,
capable.
if I may ask you. I'm sure you've heard about the many problems that have faced the Department of Social Services. There have been a number of people who have been brought in to try and fix this agency. What can you do to get this agency in a place where children are not in danger in the city?
That's a good question. I started out my career many, many years ago as a social worker. So I am familiar with the system. I'm familiar with how the system works. Of course, my degree is in social work, and I actually worked as a social worker in the lower levels and moved my way up the ranks for about 7 years. So I think that my background and my experience and my education will help me be able to go in, take a look and assess and help move the agency forward. I think that they're already on the road to making some changes, and I just want to help them increase the progress a little faster.
All right.
Mr. Mayor, in
Yes, sir.
light of the Commonwealth's attorney review, are you confident that the Chief Administrative Officer can continue to perform his duties without distraction?
Yeah, I think that Mr. Marshall is our CAO. He brings a specific set of skills to this position, and I will continue to work with him.
And many people are eager to hear the results of what the Commonwealth's attorney will determine. What can you say to the people of Richmond that, for instance, in the last week or so saw those headlines, saw the stories, and may have questions about how their tax dollars are spent, and what can you say to them about that?
I can say to them that I will wait along with them to find out what the Commonwealth Attorney has to say. Ms. Sanders, you want to say anything?
I'm so excited about this new blood in the city. I want to welcome you both to our fair city and let all of you all know that while this is my first opportunity to meet them face to face, I look forward in the very near future to sitting down with them, sharing my thoughts and visions for the future of our city, as well as getting together with City Council so that we can ensure a united message coming from the governing body about how we'd like to see things done in our city. But today is an exciting day. I'm thrilled to have them here, and since they're both somewhat new to the Richmond region, I welcome them to the 2nd District especially.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much.